the United States has been adopting a surprisingly hostile stance against India in recent months. The simple fact is that this is baffling. India and the United States face a common threat in an increasingly aggressive and rising China that is threatening to destabilize the world order. We are strategic partners, and we have reason for this strategic partnership because geopolitically we confront a common threat. Therefore, it is all the more surprising when we see this American hostile pressure on the rise almost on a daily basis. Consider the following facts. The United States has engineered a colored revolution, a Maidan coup in Dhaka, and overthrown the very India-friendly regime of Hasina Wajed. This has been done by the CIA in cahoots with the ISI, Inter-Services Intelligence of Pakistan, which through the Jihad-e-Islami subverted all the student organizations and through them has engineered this undemocratic coup which has seen Muhammad Yunus being parachuted from Washington to take charge in Dhaka. And the way he has gone hammer and tongs against the symbols of the previous regime, toppling the statues of Mujibur Rahman, even like the statues of Saddam Hussein were toppled in Baghdad, I mean, has been really very unnerving to watch. Hasina Wajed has gone on record to say that the Americans were twisting her tail to force her to cede the St. Martin's Island to make a base in the Bay of Bengal. An American base right next to India in the Bay of Bengal. They have been seeking her, to co-opt her in the creation of a Christian state on India's Myanmar borders, a cookie land of sorts, which explains the entire problems that are now raging in Manipur. They have not only been doing this, they have been playing the Khalistani card through the Five Eyes, through Canada, through the United States, Pannu case, Nijjar case. They've been mounting a fair amount of pressure on the Indian state. Then there is the most crucial question of, our arms deal, which is the essence. They wanted India to diversify its arms purchase and not be solely put all Indian eggs in the Russian basket, which made sense. So we have diversified quite a bit, billions of dollars of worth of American equipment to include C-17 global transport aircraft, the Boeing, maritime reconnaissance aircraft, the engines for the GE 404 and 414 engines for our light combat aircraft and for our advanced medium combat aircraft stealth fighter program. We paid in dollars for these, and they have reneged on that deal, causing a major setback to the Indian Air Force, which is already short of its combat squadron strength, which should have been 42, it's down to 30. And we were desperately trying to make up, phase out our MiG-21s, and we find that unfortunately the whole thing has been sabotaged. Even after we paid the dollars for it, hard cash for it, they are refusing to supply us the engines, delaying our entire modernization program. Even though we bought the C-17s, we bought the Boeing maritime reconnaissance aircraft, the Chinook helicopters, the Apache attack helicopters, and now the Predator class drones, the Sea Guardians and Sky Guardians, armed drones. We've been trying to diversify, and they have been putting pressure on us to stop all purchases from Russia. If we end up with a dependency on the United States, and if the United States proves to be so untrustworthy so unreliable as to, at the snap of a finger, just choke off vital supplies. And at a time when, there are serious problems with the China, Pakistan combined, and now Bangladesh has been added as an additional headache for India. From a 2.5 war front, we are on to a 3.5 war front. So what gives? What gives? What is the underlying reason for this hostility? One, of course, is the Russia-Ukraine war. President Joe Biden has decided, if you are not with us, you are against us. And he's been putting pressure on India right throughout. Firstly, not to buy the oil. Well, you've embargoed Iran. That was the closest source of cheap oil. Geopolitically, that was the closest and the cheapest. We can't buy oil from Iran. Now we can't buy oil from Russia. That means we should accept the fact that the Indian economy should go into a tailspin. The European nations are all buying oil and gas from Russia. That hasn't been stopped. Only India is supposed to stop. So India, quite rightly, has refused to, damage its own interests willingly for the sake of pleasing the American establishment. So the Russia-Ukraine war has been a major factor in this downslide in Indo-American relations. But the fact of the matter is that is not all. What is really, biting the Americans? Fact is, it is the aspect of de-dollarization that is going to be discussed in the forthcoming BRICS summit in Kazan in Russia, 22nd, 23rd October. The Prime Minister of India will be there, the Russian President, the Chinese Chairman Xi Jinping, Lula of Brazil and South Africa, along with possibly Saudi Arabia and other new entrants to the BRICS fraternity. They are discussing de-dollarization for the simple reason that America is and the West is acting in a whimsical manner. They've just dumped all international rule-based order, the trust on which banking systems survive. That's all been sabotaged by the West. The Russians have $600 billion of forex reserves in dollar terms and gold, which were with European banks, Western banks. They just grabbed those dollars. And now, not only have they grabbed the dollars, the $5 billion worth of dividend on those $300 billion that was in European banks is now being given to Ukraine for weapons and for this thing. This is illegal. Venezuela wanted to withdraw its gold that is kept in the vaults of the United Kingdom. United Kingdom refused. It is Venezuelan gold and it is their choice as to what they want to do with it. The banker can't dictate that you are not fit to guard this gold, so we will not give it to you. I mean, this is loot. This is utterly amazing. And quite obviously, therefore, this issue has come up. De Lula from Brazil has been very keen to have a BRICS banking system, a BRICS commercial exchange system, and a BRICS currency called unit, which will replace the trade in dollars, so that we are not held hostage. The simple fact is, let me explain. In this, two Russian experts and one Chinese expert in the International Institute of Economic Studies, they have done serious research and come up with proposals on how to de-dollarize, how to create a BRICS kind of currency, common currency for the BRICS union to break free of the dollar. And they are saying 40% of this should be based on gold reserves of these countries, going back to almost Bretton Woods, but not fully. And the balance should be on the individual currencies of each of the BRICS states. And how are we going to sort of work out the fluctuations, the up and down in the inter-se value of these currencies? They are going to depend on neutral blockchains and fractals. Fractal mathematics or fractal computer programs, to sort of work it out in a non-political, non-partisan manner, the equivalence between the currencies. You see, right now, the United States just prints dollars. And there are $37 trillion of worth of debt they have, and their debt is increasing by almost $8.4 billion in a day. $8.4 billion in a day, their national debt is rising. The debt to GDP ratio, the United States is third in terms of the increasing levels of debt. Japan, Italy are the only two countries ahead of it. The third is the United States of America, which, please don't forget, the dollar is the global reserve currency. So when they want to spend post-COVID, they increase their government spending on defense, on non-defense, on their student, scholarship programs, etc., etc. They're just spending like there is no tomorrow. Now, when they just print more dollars, it dilutes the value of the dollar holdings that other countries have. Russian dollars, they mean so much less. Chinese dollar holdings, Indian dollar holdings mean so much less. And that affects the rupee dollar trade, the equivalence, the balance is 84 rupees to a dollar. It should be correctly much higher. But that is also just at whims and fancies. America just has to print dollars because it is the global reserve currency. And that puts pressure on the other currencies, and that dilutes their value on the whims and fancies of the Americans. So quite obviously, some alternatives are being talked of, spoken of for de-dollarization. Why should oil trade be in dollars? Why should all trade, global trade be in dollar terms when dollar is not the currency of these countries, you see? And therefore, the BRICS are now trying to take a stand. And these issues of a BRICS currency, the unit, will be discussed in the forthcoming BRICS conference. In the last conference, India's stand was that we should deal with just the local currencies. Now, the fact is, India has purchased huge amounts of oil from Russia. So the Russians have, we have paid them in rupees. Now, the Russians are hoist with a whole lot of rupees. They don't know how to spend them and where to spend them. India, of course, is trying to increase its exports to the Russian Federation so that the balance of trade is maintained. But some kind of an equivalent system has to be made out by which these currencies can be bartered and goods can be bartered, and for that they're trying to work on the unit currency. If the unit currency comes out, the rest of the world will quite be happy to get rid of the dominance of the dollar, which is now being made very whimsical. Whims and fancies. Your other countries put money in your banks, just swallow them. They put gold in your banks, don't give it back. I mean, this is not the rules-based order. And something will have to give. You can't get that whimsical about it. You can't get that laissez-faire that some countries decide to grab other people's money and that's it. So, this is being discussed. And whenever it was discussed in the past, the United States has acted in a very, very hostile manner. Iraq had suggested this kind of a de-dollarization. They finished Saddam Hussein. Then Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, we all know what happened to him. He was also talking of dinar, gold-based trade, purchase of the oil prices, etc. The Bretton Woods Agreement had died long back, and the strength of the American dollar, it's still the global reserve currency, and it will not be very easy to replace this. But this is being spoken of, and the Americans are quite rightly concerned. They are worried, and possibly one of the reasons so much pressure is being put on India is to see that India desists from joining Russia and China and Brazil in this endeavor to create a Brazil specific currency called the unit. It will be a major economic blow to the United States and its whimsical, profligate ways of just printing dollars and spending like there is no tomorrow, and grabbing the forex reserves of other countries. China is trying to take it out after what happened to the Russians. India is taking out its gold from the United Kingdom, so is Venezuela and some other countries, but we find that they are now acting as if they own. Whatever you have put in their banks is now owned by them. That does not work. So one of the reasons that is being suggested for the very hostile stance of the Americans against India is to pressurize India to not go along with Russia, China, Brazil in this matter of creating an alternative global reserve currency in terms of the BRICS, the unit currency of the BRICS based upon gold reserves 40%, on national currencies the balance 60%, and a blockchain kind of a thing, arrangement to see that the inter-se valuations are taken care of by the blockchain and by the fractals software. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But should that start happening, should this decision be taken on 22nd, 23rd October, it could create shockwaves around the globe. You will see stock markets starting to collapse in the United States and in other countries. You know, when the United States catches a sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. Economic system. So there are major decisions at stake, and that is why so much hostility and pressure is being mounted on India to keep out of these arrangements, to sabotage these arrangements, etc. But we have to safeguard our interests. We cannot sacrifice our interests to please the American deep state. And Joe Biden especially has adopted extremely hostile policies against India to an extent that they have already managed to push Russia into China's arms. And if this kind of a pressure, unrelenting pressure continues, then India may have no choice but to join, and make the RIC. As it is, the world is talking of the CRIC, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea axis, which is becoming a severe headache for the West. And now if you push India into this axis, I think it will be the greatest self-goal that the Americans would have done in a very long time to themselves. They can't be so whimsical with their policies. There has to be a rule-based order. There has to be trust in a global banking system. All this is being destroyed. All this is being destroyed by the rather cavalier policies being followed in the West, grabbing hold of other people's forex reserves, dollars, their pension funds, etc. And laissez-faire, it can't persist. Something has to give. A new world order will have to be based on a new financial system. This is what the Americans are trying so hard to prevent. Will India buckle? Will India stand firm? Will India go with BRICS? And I think it is most likely to, because we have to safeguard our own national interests. We can't sacrifice everything at the altar of American whims and fancies. And we are hoping and praying in this country that Donald Trump comes to wins the forthcoming elections. At least he is far more friendly and well disposed towards India, and may not let the deep state run riot the way it is doing so now. Thank you.